As the shimmering lights twinkled and the music reverberated throughout the opulent hall, Tran Vien guided his younger sister Onion into the lavish party of daimyo. Onion, rarely spotted at extravagant events, donned a simple dress that made her the target of mockery. Look at that girl, so out of place. Tran Vien's anger flared instantly at such humiliation. This time, he was truly infuriated. A night had passed since Tran Vien's accident. Early in the morning, his phone rang with a call from Trio Ngok. Tran Vien, have you made it to Han City yet? There's a live event at Daimyo tonight. Remember to attend. Tran Vien answered, explaining, I've arrived, but there's a bit of an issue. I had an accident. He didn't hold back and spoke candidly. Behind him stood Vuong Mong Mong and Wet Ling Swang, both adorned in fresh attire. On the surface, they appeared unscathed, except for Wet Ling Swang, whose head was bandaged. What kind of accident? Are you all right? Which hospital are you at? Xiao Li, call the driver. Hearing about Tran Vien's accident, Trio Ngok became flustered with worry. Compared to Daimyo, her concern for Tran Vien was much more pronounced. I'm fine. Really, I've been discharged. Don't come over. I'll attend the event tonight. Tran Vien tried to reassure her, but her evident worry warmed his heart. At least he still had sincere people around him. Oh, there's no need for that. Just stay home and wait for me. Tran Vien added a few more comforting words before hanging up. Meanwhile, Wet Lin Swang quietly observed, feeling a newfound calm wash over him. Even after the accident, an idea sparked in Wet Lin Swang's mind. Perhaps being disfigured wasn't so bad after all. Through their interactions, he realized that Tran Vien was not like the ordinary folks. He valued ability and intellect far more than mere appearances. At this moment, the thoughts of Wet Lin Swang had transformed. While he once held a deep confidence in his abilities and took pride in his appearance, he no longer viewed himself in the same light. Yet, beneath the surface, a tinge of sadness lingered within him. Observing the figure of Tran Vien, Wet Lin Swang reflected, after all, people inevitably judge based on looks. Who could bear facing an unattractive person day in and day out without feeling discomfort? Wet Lin Swang felt as if he was merely a shadow, a mere assistant to Tran Vien. It was certain that they would have to interact frequently, and over time, Tran Vien might grow weary of him. After ending the call with Trio Ngok, Tran Vien turned his gaze back to Wet Lin Swang. Wet, I have a task for you. Keep an eye out for any beautiful villas in Han City. I'm looking to buy one. As usual, Tran Vien assigned tasks to Wet Lin Swang without hesitation. However, this time, his sister, Vuong Mong Mong, disagreed. Brother, if you go on like this, you'll end up hanging from a streetlight. Sister Nguyen is injured, yet you still command her. Don't you feel a twinge of guilt? After listening, Tran Vien chuckled foolishly. Oh, Secretary Nguyen is the person I trust the most. She's incredibly reliable. Who could possibly say that I'm exploiting others? Vuong Mong Mong, being only 18, couldn't grasp Tran Vien's true intentions. Although Tran Vien had just given Wet Ling Swang her usual task, this time felt different. He was entrusting her with a special sentiment. You think so too, right, Chi Nguyen? However, before Vuong Mong Mong could finish her thought, she was taken aback. At that moment, she noticed Wet Ling Swang had tears streaming down her face. He was crying. The reason was clear. The task Tran Vien had assigned him had touched his heart. The two siblings felt uneasy, as Vuong Mong Mong couldn't fathom why Chi Nguyen was suddenly in tears. Tran Vien was also deep in thought, questioning if he had gone too far. Yet he felt what he did was right. Miss Mong Mong, you've misunderstood the boss. He doesn't look down on me for my appearance. He treats me just the same. That is the greatest recognition and kindness he could show me. Wiping her tears, Wet Ling Swang explained that her tears were not of sadness, but of emotion and joy. Tran Vien's treatment was fair and unchanged, which was the biggest recognition and encouragement for her. Don't worry, boss, she assured. I will definitely take this task seriously to ensure your satisfaction. After saying this, Wet Lin Swang bowed respectfully to Tran Vien. From that moment on, her feelings shifted completely, and Tran Vien's importance in her heart grew immensely. That evening, at the grand event held by Daimyo, the extensive promotion, along with Tran Vien's endorsement, attracted a multitude of attendees. When Vuong Mong Mong and Tran Vien arrived, she was instantly overwhelmed by the spectacle. Is this really the event he's participating in? It looks so impressive. Vung Mộng Mộng had never witnessed anything like it. She felt like a curious child, looking around in amazement. Isn't that Kakakon? I can't believe I'm actually seeing him. In one corner, a well-known young man was wearing overalls and playing basketball. The scene immediately drew a crowd of fans. I've heard they've been fans of Kakakon for 2.5 years, she exclaimed. Oh my, is that Chun Chun? His smile is so sweet. Here Vung Mộng Mộng spotted numerous stars. Previously, she had only seen them on her phone, but now she was seeing them in person, which thrilled her. Mộng Mộng, you'll have to attend events like this often in the future. Today, I'm just getting you used to it, so you won't feel nervous later. Tran Vien held her hand and reassured her that she would encounter many such events. It was simply about broadening her horizons today. Having fun was enough. But she hesitated. Brother, are we really dressed appropriately? Everyone else is in formal suits, while we seem a bit too casual. Upon hearing his sister's words, Tran Vien felt a flicker of surprise. However, he couldn't blame Wang Mengmeng for her innocent perspective after all. The coolness of that battle god shirt was lost on her. To him, the usual social norms merely constrained the ordinary. He, on the other hand, could wear flip-flops tonight and still command respect. With a confident smile, Tran Vien conveyed this spirit to his sister, yet the naive Wang Mengmeng remained oblivious to it all. Just as Tran Vien finished speaking, a pair of snide remarks floated in from behind. Two elegantly dressed women were mocking them. Look at that girl, she's so out of place. How did she even get in here? Upon hearing this, the smile on Tran Vien's face vanished, replaced by a cold, steely expression. Those women had crossed a line. Wang Mengmeng overheard their taunts, and a wave of insecurity washed over her as she clutched her dress tightly. How would Tran Vien retaliate against such mockery aimed at his sister? Would he respond with a masterful comeback? One of the women, who had been particularly condescending, was met with a swift slap from Tran Vien. Furious, she growled in response, only to receive another slap, this time even harder. When her brother rushed over to intervene, she called for him to take charge. But to her surprise, her brother also delivered a solid slap. Soon after, her brother found himself kneeling before Tran Vien, fearful of retaliation. Tran Vien had just brought his sister to the hall, only to be mocked. Upon hearing this, Wang Mengmeng felt a surge of discomfort, and the smile that had graced Tran Vien's face disappeared. Who did these arrogant fools think they were, daring to ridicule his sister? With that thought in mind, Tran Vien strode toward the two women, determined to issue a fitting warning. Being insulted unjustly was something he simply could not tolerate. It was crucial to understand that in Han City, there was no room for anyone to bully Tran Vien. Such a person had yet to appear. Ladies, I suggest you mind your words and actions, Tran Vien said bluntly, issuing a direct warning. For him, this was already an act of great restraint. If they had been daughters of other wealthy families, the response would not have been limited to mere words. What do you mean by lady? Who are you calling a lady, you hick? One of the women bristled at being referred to as a lady, while the other jumped in. What are you talking about? What gives you the right to tell me how to behave? It was truly laughable. Not only did they fail to recognize their own faults, but they also grew bolder in their mockery of Tran Vien. Realizing the nature of his adversaries, a surge of anger welled up within him. He decided to teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget, showing them that not everyone could get away with ridicule. Just as Tran Vien readied himself to unleash his wrath, Wang Mengmeng suddenly tugged at his shirt. She was reluctant to escalate the situation and certainly didn't want her brother to fight on her behalf. Brother, please let it go, she pleaded. Wang Mengmeng had never encountered such a scene before arriving in Han City. She was just an ordinary girl from the countryside. Therefore, she felt that causing trouble outside shouldn't be done lightly. However, Wang Mengmeng was unaware that while others could tease anyone, they must never touch Chen Yuan. I'll give you one more chance. Apologize to my sister. Chen Yuan stood firmly, blocking Wang Mengmeng from behind, his cold gaze piercing through the two women. If Chen Yuan discovered that they still refused to apologize, he would undoubtedly become relentless. Yet, upon hearing his words, the two women had no intention of apologizing whatsoever. On the contrary, they appeared quite smug. One of them provocatively remarked, "Apologize for what, Wang? Do you have any idea how many fans I have? You're not worthy." But before she could finish her sentence, Chen Yuan's slap struck her face. The sound echoed through the entire hall, shocking everyone present. The scene unfolded too abruptly. Consequently, Chen Yuan and the two women instantly became the center of attention. "You dare to hit me! You dare to hit me!" They could hardly believe that someone they deemed unsophisticated would actually lay a hand on them. They had to understand that she was a noble young lady even online. No one dared disrespect her. Yet here she was, struck by someone they considered beneath them. However, before she could catch her breath, Chen Yuan delivered another slap to her face. Now, both her cheeks were swollen, resembling delightful slabs of meat. Resounding slaps drew the attention of everyone gathered. As they gazed at the woman sprawled on the ground, murmurs began to circulate. Who is she? To dare hit a woman shows a complete lack of dignity, not a shred of grace. All anyone could see was the aftermath, the beaten woman, ignoring the events that led to it. This is why so many flocked to follow the crowd. They had no clue what was truly happening. They simply followed blindly. In Chen Yuan's heart, this only made him scoff coldly. What a bunch of ignorant people who decreed that women shouldn't be hit. Women with filthy mouths deserve a taste of their own medicine. Spare me the false gentlemanly attitude. I owe you nothing. Girls like these are spoiled by you men. Amidst the cacophony, a silver-haired man appeared with two bodyguards in tow. Who dares to cause trouble on my territory? This man was the little brother of Hao Tian, Xiao Bai. He had once shared a drink with Chen Yuan, but upon seeing the beaten woman and Chen Yuan standing before her, cold sweat immediately broke out on his brow. Xiao Bai instinctively exclaimed, Sir Yan, Sir Yan." He could hardly believe that the one causing the ruckus was none other than the legendary CEO, Yan. Since their last encounter, the CEO's status had soared, now becoming a mythical figure. Who would have thought to meet him here today? What luck! At that moment, Xiao Bai wasn't even thinking about the beaten woman. All he felt was that being here today was worthwhile just to see his brother Bai. It was like seeing a glimmer of hope. He believed that as long as elder brother Bai intervened, this rustic fool would undoubtedly face dire consequences. Finally, Bai Xiao has arrived. This bumpkin dared to lay a hand on me. He must be held accountable. The woman threw herself into Xiao Bai's arms, sobbing and wailing about her mistreatment, insisting she must be protected. But in the very next moment, a familiar pain struck him as he found himself on the receiving end of a beating. The one attacking him was none other than the elder brother Bai, the very person he had always admired. Xiao Bai raised his hand and roared, "Silence! You don't belong here, so step aside." The elder brother's voice dripped with authority. "I'm sorry for this girl. I've only met her a few times and didn't realize the severity of my actions. If I've offended anyone, I apologize on her behalf." After dealing with the woman, Xiao Bai quickly turned to Chen Yuan, showering him with flattery. At that moment, the image of elder brother Bai seemed to fade away. He resembled more of a die-hard fan of CEO Yan. I can't be mistaken, right? This is still the notorious Bai family brat, isn't it? How has he become so courteous? What kind of status does this person hold that even Bai Xiao is too afraid to raise his head? Onlookers were left puzzled by the scene. Meanwhile, at the back, Wang Mengmeng was blushing furiously. She realized that just moments ago, Chen Yuan had defended her with such dominance, resembling a male lead in a drama, while she felt like the frail female lead. Despite Chen Yuan's earlier bravado, Wang Mengmeng couldn't help but relish this feeling. Consequently, her affection for him increased by 5 points, now reaching a total of 85, almost tipping the scales towards a dramatic turnaround. My brother transforms into Batman for his sister. He'll play the guitar in front of everyone, just to show how handsome he is. At the same time, Yueling Song was in her hotel room, staring at her phone. She seemed to be mulling over certain matters. Chen Yuan had shifted her perspective a bit, yet she still carried out the mission assigned by Li Xiao. Staring at Li Jiamoku's phone number, Yueling Song hesitated before dialing. She wondered whether she should continue reporting information. As these thoughts swirled in her mind, she recalled that man. Through their encounters, Yueling Song realized that he was not as bad as the rumors suggested. In several situations, Chen Yuan not only refrained from being cruel but also protected her. For instance, during the car accident yesterday, Chen Yuan had thrown caution to the wind to save her. Just considering this point, he could be deemed her lifesaver. Furthermore, after that, Chen Yuan didn't scold her, he continued to assign her tasks as usual. This impartial approach left Yuling Song's mind filled with thoughts of Chen Yuan. No matter how hard she tried to shake it off, it was futile. Now, she was caught in a dilemma. One side represented her true boss, Li Jiamoku, while the other was the temporary imposter, Chen Yuan. Ultimately, Yuling Song was faced with a critical decision. She no longer cared as much and called Li Jiamuk. "It's me." At that moment, Li Jiamuk, who was in Mado, answered the call. He was very focused on eliminating General Director Yin, and Whitling Song was the most crucial link in this phase. Young Master can begin to take action now. After receiving the call, the hesitation in Whitling Song's eyes melted away. She was no longer disturbed by unnecessary emotions. At this moment, she transformed back into a cold secretary, devoid of excessive feelings. "I have secretly acquired numerous scattered plots of land. Acting now could impact the core planning area of the film city." Whitling Song was confident that if they acted immediately, Chen Yuan's Film City project would face serious issues. It could even lead to the failure of the Film City project. Good. Excellent work, Lin Song. You've worked hard these past days. When you return, I won't treat you unfairly. Upon hearing this, Li Yamuk's face lit up with joy, and a smile crept onto his lips. However, this smile appeared somewhat sinister. "Young Master, you flatter me too much. Please don't say that." Feeling praised by Li Jiamuk made Whitling Song tense up immediately, as he rarely complimented her. Meanwhile, Whitling Song was also very humble in front of Li Jiamuk. Yet, the more she acted like this, the more she found herself dependent on him. At this point, memories of her childhood flooded back. When she was just 5, she found herself in dire straits, dressed in tattered clothes. Every day, she scavenged for scraps to fill her empty stomach, living in a world of coldness and hunger. Until one day, someone appeared. The person who saved young Whitling Song was none other than Li Jiamuk, with Li Jia standing behind him. Whitling Song always felt that if it weren't for Li Jiamuk, she might have long starved to death on the streets. Therefore, from the bottom of her heart, she submitted to Li Jiamuk. "Lin Song, you truly are the one I have high hopes for. Don't worry about the car accident when you return. I will invite the best doctor from Korea to treat you." Li Jiamuk's eyes were filled with yearning, as if he had already envisioned General Director Yen's downfall. "Thank you, young master." After saying this, Whitling Song hung up the phone. But as soon as she ended the call, a question arose in her mind. How did he know I had a car accident? It should be noted that Whitling Song had only had the accident the day before. Although it had been reported, her and Chen Yuan's images did not appear. Logically, there were not many people who knew, perhaps only those in the hospital had seen them. Is he watching me? Does he truly not trust me? In her heart, Whitling Song felt an icy chill. She never imagined that the young master she had unconditionally trusted would not trust her in return, despite all she had done. As this thought crossed her mind, a wave of sorrow flooded her consciousness. Meanwhile, at the Grand Cat's evening banquet, the host, microphone in hand, began to speak. "Thank you for the performance by Kun Kun Hee. Brought us a spectacular singing and dancing show that made me want to jump up and dance myself." Beside the host was Basketball Kun. He had just finished a dazzling display of basketball skills intertwined with dance, and below the stage, a sea of fans gathered, including some anti-fans who specialized in critiquing him. Simply put, they were the haters lurking in the shadows. The next act will be performed by a special guest we invited. After the host finished speaking, he gestured toward the audience. Was there a mysterious guest among the crowd? "Do you know who it is?" Wang Mengmeng asked, tugging at Chen Yuan's sleeve. Her curiosity piqued. Wang Mengmeng found everything around her intriguing. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, she noticed something odd about Chen Yuan. He stood out sharply against the crowd, appearing somewhat eccentric. "Why are you wearing a helmet all of a sudden?" She looked at Chen Yuan, who had somehow donned a helmet amidst the crowd. With his knowledge, he no longer cared about the gazes of others. Chen Yuan approached Wang Mengmeng and said, "Mengmeng, next, I'll perform a special act for you." Hearing this made her smile blush crimson. Even though Chen Yuan was wearing a Batman mask, it couldn't stop Wang Mengmeng's heart from racing wildly. Just then, the audience gasped in surprise, their eyes drawn to the stage. "Look, isn't that the piano that was auctioned off for an outrageous price before?" It seems to be that legendary glass piano, the Grand Cat, certainly had a significant influence. This was indeed the glass piano that Chen Yuan had purchased and played before. Amid Wang Mengmeng's puzzled gaze, Chen Yuan took big strides toward the stage. That's right, he wanted to give his sister a small gift. He also aimed to broaden her horizons. Knowing Chen Yuan's intentions, Wang Mengmeng's heart filled with just one thought. He's so handsome, truly too handsome. At that moment, Chen Yuan was the most charming man in the world, even a prince in Wang Mengmeng's eyes. Thinking of this, her affection for Chen Yuan increased by 5 points, just a few points shy of a perfect score. The CEO Yan captivated the entire hall with just one song, making Wang Mengmeng adore her brother even more. Friends listening were tempted to steal the handsome boy from the beauty queen, while the actresses yearned to offer themselves to CEO Yan. At that moment, a mysterious figure appeared at the evening banquet. It was Chen Yuan, wearing the Batman mask, seated before the exquisite glass piano, contemplating how to make the night unforgettable. Meanwhile, everyone in the audience buzzed with anticipation. Who is this person? Could it be the god of romance? Beyond the god of romance. It seems that no one truly deserves this precious glass piano. The anticipation is palpable, yet while everyone is brimming with hope, Tranviant remains motionless on stage for 5 long minutes. Throughout that time, he does nothing but tightly shut his eyes. It appears he is plotting something. The audience begins to murmur restlessly. 5 minutes have passed, and he still hasn't played. Is he just pretending? In truth, he probably doesn't even know how to play. He just wants to show off. After all, why wear a mask? It must be true, there's no doubt about it. As this thought takes root, the crowd erupts in unison, shouting, "If you can't play, get off the stage. Stop pretending." Among the audience, someone even raises a middle finger at Tranvian. However, in the face of this chaos, Tranvian remains as calm as a mountain, eyes still firmly shut. It seems as if everything happening off stage doesn't concern him at all. Not only is the party live-streamed online, but the chat room is also filled with curses. Is this guy really invited to perform a silent act? Please, is my internet lagging? 5 minutes of my life wasted on this jerk. I hope he knows to leave. At this moment, the monitor room is buzzing with frustration. Zhao Yuk and her best friend, Mang Mang, are watching it all unfold. Tran Vien is the one UK invited, hoping he would be the grand finale to elevate the evening's excitement. However, Tran Vien just sits there, immobile. Mang Mang begins to worry. We need to think of something to counter these negative comments. She fears that if this continues, the event will suffer a blow. But Yuke, brimming with confidence, reassures her, "Why panic? Just stay calm and watch. I believe he will bring a surprise." Yuke knows Tranvian quite well. She trusts him completely, having witnessed countless surprises he has delivered. To her, this minor situation is hardly concerning. Yet, deep down, Yuke can't help but wonder, "Tranvian, you are a piano genius. What are you planning? Why are you just sitting there?" Just as Yuki's worry escalates, Tranvian finally stirs. She sees him exhale deeply. Then, his fingers begin to dance across the keys. Instantly, a beautiful melody fills the air. He's moving. Mang Mang exclaims, pointing at the screen in excitement, while Yuke breathes a sigh of relief. She knows what to do next, simply enjoy Tranvian's performance in silence. At this moment, Tranvian not only plays the piano, but also begins to sing. His voice, deep and resonant, draws listeners into another realm. The audience below is captivated, hanging on every note. What song is this? It sounds amazing, a girl whispers to herself. Suddenly, a wave of melancholy washes over her. Meanwhile, Wang Mengmeng feels exhilarated, her perception of Tranvian transforming him into a shining star. How many more secrets does he hold? In that moment, Tranvian seemed to merge with the piano, each note intertwining with his beautiful voice to create the most enchanting melody in the world. Triongok and Maitmain were swept away, utterly captivated by his performance, as if they were under a spell. Lost in the music, Manhwa suddenly felt her cheeks flush. How could Chen Yuan be so irresistibly charming? Why hadn't she noticed this before? Now it felt like she could hardly control herself. But he was her friend's boyfriend. Meanwhile, on the other side, actress Cao Hingum was also engrossed in the live stream. Chen Yuan's voice had reached her ears, and as she observed his contemplative expression paired with his gentle singing, Hingum's emotions became a tangled web. Only those who truly love with all their hearts can sing like that. Hingum was convinced that beneath his carefree exterior, Chen Yuan was hiding a heart full of sorrow from love. In truth, he bore a heart filled with wounds. At that moment, Hingum felt a deep resonance. She was just 2 steps away from surpassing the limits to become the ultimate victor. What was the boundary for the editor-in-chief Manhwa? The answer was none at all. After witnessing his performance, even the first love wanted to have his children, while the secretary, carrying out her covert assignment, couldn't help but shed tears. This song had ignited the entire network. That night, many elite figures attended the Great Cat's party, and just as Chen Yuan finished playing, his performance came to an end. The emotionally charged song closed its chapter, plunging the once vibrant party into a profound silence. Not a single sound was heard, as everyone remained immersed in the afterglow of the performance. Particularly, that song combined with the melody of the crystal piano had offered the audience a truly spectacular show. It was undeniably impressive. This was undoubtedly the caliber of an A-list star. At that moment, applause erupted continuously. Everyone shared a common thought, as if they had just awoken from a dream, still moved by the experience. After the performance concluded, the spotlight shone on Chen Yuan, who resembled a celestial dancer, bringing forth a sense of connection through his music that touched the soul. As expected, this concert once more trended on social media. Thankfully, Chen Yuan had anticipated this, so he wore a Batman mask. Meanwhile, the live stream room was buzzing with excitement. A wealthy gentleman happily donated a mountain of gifts, with the audience chanting, "Big Shot 666." Some even recognized the piano as the one purchased by General Manager Yin, but they were clueless about the identity of the performer. He seemed rather dashing. On the other side, Tio Nyukngui had just finished watching the live stream, and she was in a state of utter amazement. Chen Yuan sang so well. What were the limits of this man? How could he possess so many outstanding skills, truly deserving of admiration? If only I could have been there. Seeing Chen Yuan's remarkable talents only deepened Nyukngui's affection for him. After all, her current friends were practically perfect, wealthy and multi-talented. Most importantly, he was incredibly handsome. "Nyukngui, don't play with your phone while eating. It's quite rude. Take those earbuds out quickly," her father reminded her sternly. It turned out that old Mr. Tiao was dining out with his daughter, and their dining companion was none other than Lam Chi Lak's brother, Lam Dui. Lam Dui smiled at old Mr. Tiao and said, "It's perfectly fine, Uncle Tiao. Not many young people these days can resist their phones. I enjoy playing with them, too." With his amiable demeanor, Lam Dui apologized. "I'm sorry, Lam Dui, I haven't managed things well." Seeing Lam Dui so polite made everyone ease into the atmosphere a bit more. Old Mr. Tiao had to put on a good front. After all, this was the heir of the wealthiest family in Han City. Sharing dinner with someone like him required a certain decorum. "It's nothing at all. I truly admire Nyukngui's personality. We're about to collaborate, so let's not be too formal," he said with a forced smile. It turned out that old Mr. Tiao and Lam Dui were meeting to discuss some collaboration details. However, Lam Dui had ulterior motives. He was drawn to Tiao Nyukngui because of her stunning beauty. If it weren't for that, he wouldn't have been so eager to befriend her at the auto show. That meddling fool was the reason I ended up arguing with Chen Yuan. Every time Nyukngui thought about it, she felt a mix of regret and anger. She didn't want to give Lam Dui any warmth because Chen Yuan was far superior in every way. Now, with this collaboration excuse from the Tiao family, my father had dragged me out for dinner. What a hassle. Nyukngui had no desire to go out, but old Mr. Tiao insisted on dragging her along. Reluctantly, she agreed. Yet one misstep could lead to unforeseen consequences. Currently, her friends were no longer willing to let her drown in despair. "Miss Nyukngui, I've prepared a little performance just for you," he announced. I hope you enjoy it." Suddenly, Lam Dui stood up politely. To prepare for tonight's dinner, he had arranged a few surprises, his well-practiced method of wooing girls. "You love the piano, don't you? I've learned a bit over the years," he added with a charming smile. The piano stood nearby, and knowing Tian Juokmui's fondness for it, Lam Dui quickly set up to perform for her, hoping to win her affection. He began to play, confident that his skills would resonate with her heart. "With my charming piano skills, I refuse to believe Nyokmui won't be swayed," Lam Dui thought, brimming with confidence. With his wealth and good looks, combined with his ability to make girls smile, he was certain he wouldn't lose her favor. However, to Tiao Nyokmui, all of this was nothing but a show. What is he trying to pull a Mar? Compared to Tran Vien, he pales in comparison, utterly devoid of any depth. This neighborly air is thoroughly unimpressive, she mused, growing increasingly disdainful of his attempts. At the same time, Secretary Ngui Lin was also tuning into the live stream. However, unlike others, she was watching it with tears streaming down her face, her emotions so overwhelming that they blurred the screen of her phone. Why could someone so wretched evoke melodies that pierce my heart so deeply? Ngui Ling was moved to tears because Tran Vien's song truly struck a chord within her. Meanwhile, Ngui found herself even more captivated. This man was like the moonlight, illuminating my heart and drawing me in. At this moment, Tran Vien's charm over Ngui was skyrocketing. Her admiration for him had surged to a solid 35. After listening to the CEO Yen's song, she couldn't help but succumb to his allure. CEO Yen, witnessing this, felt a surge of joy. It seemed tonight would not be a meaningless event after all. Inside a luxurious commercial vehicle cruising through Han City, Lam Chi-lak remarked, "Miss, we have successfully acquired a significant amount of land around Tien Mon as planned. But don't you think our compensation for the land is a bit too generous? I'm worried we won't be able to sustain our finances." Upon hearing the director's analysis, Lam Chi-lak replied, "That's not something you need to worry about. Just keep buying." Right now, Ngui has acquired a large portion of land surrounding Tien Mon. Lam Chi-lak believed that the only way to counter his strategy was to start from the periphery. After all, she came from a merchant family. In terms of business, she had her own insights. Currently, the 3 plots of land formed a triangular area, which would be the best choice for a filming location. The previous information about building a film studio at Tien Mon was merely smoke and mirrors thrown out by Tran Vien. Yet, the truth was Tran Vien had already informed Lam Chi-lak. At this moment, Lam Chi-lak felt a bit of pressure. She believed that Tran Vien could only trust her now. "Damn it, Ngui Ling, if you soar high, I will retreat. Just wait for my retribution." Every time she thought of Ngui Ling, Lam Chi-lak felt nothing but anger. She once believed Ngui Lin had great potential. Just then, Lam Chi-lak's phone buzzed with a message. The notification revealed it was from Vuong Mong Mong. Surprised, Lam Chi-lak realized she hadn't seen Mong Mong for quite some time. She truly missed her. Their friendship was exceptionally close. Like longtime best friends, she saw a message from Mong Mong's sister Lak. "Hurry to this live room to see my brother perform." After Mong Mong's message, she promptly sent a direct link to the show. What is Dai Meo doing? Is he feeling lonely? Although attending the live show felt like a form of self-deprecation, Lam Chi-lak couldn't shake off the feeling of confusion. After all, a character like Tran Vien was typically very humble. Yet, her curiosity got the better of her, and she clicked on the link as soon as the live room opened. She discovered that Tran Vien was wearing a mask that concealed something. At this moment, comments in the live chat were flying in at lightning speed. "Rich Guy 666, this is a crystal piano. Come check out this handsome guy." Meanwhile, others remained silent, not sending any comments. Yet the gifts kept pouring in, showcasing admiration. At this point, Tran Vien began to sing, his melodious voice transporting Lin Chi-lak to another world. The song, from its lyrics to its melody, was so exquisite that just a brief snippet was enough to captivate anyone. Lin Chi-lak found herself ensnared in a whirlwind of emotions. Even though Tran Vien was wearing a Batman mask, it did nothing to diminish his performance. Particularly, the line, "I understand now, no more words, love fades, dreams are distant," made her heart race. She could hardly believe this was the song performed by Tran Vien. Absolutely stunning, Lin Chilak was genuinely taken aback by Tran Vien's exceptional talent. Now his prowess combined with his immense wealth made her start to admire him blindly, even thinking of him as her very own Prince Charming. Thinking of this, Lin Chilak's expression turned peculiar, as if swept away by a fever. She had but one thought: Tran Vien was truly blinded by mere money. Hua Hadao was a big star, and at this moment, Lin Chilak's fondness for Tran Vien surged dramatically, reaching an impressive 96. Consequently, Tran Vien earned a wealth of points. Among all those he had enchanted, Lin Chilak could be considered the easiest conquest. Others had to invest both effort and wealth. Only Lin Chilak was different. She needed no money. She simply admired Tran Vien's talent and liked who he was. At that moment, after finishing his performance, Tran Vien noticed the rising fondness and felt a wave of happiness swell within him. It seemed that tonight was not in vain. After his performance, Tran Vien intended to leave, but the audience below was not pleased. "Why are you leaving so soon? Don't go. Take off your mask before you leave." "That's right. We haven't heard enough yet. Hey, handsome, can you sing one more song?" Everyone turned their gaze to the stage, looking at Tran Vien, but he seemed to ignore them, coldly walking away. This action not only met no resistance, but also attracted a few more young female fans. "He's so cold. I love it. He's totally my type." A few days later, within the Bythian real estate company, a frantic voice cried out, "Director Lack, it's not good. Someone is trying to snatch our land. They seem to have significant influence, and we're losing ground step by step. Moreover, they've also rallied quite a few people." The real estate director immediately reported the situation to Deep Lin Song. Upon receiving the documents, Deep Lin Song pondered, "So they've started land grabbing. It seems that Litio has begun to take action. If Litio's plan succeeds, Bythian real estate will face trouble, and these folks will be out of jobs." Seeing the director's sorrowful expression, Deplin Song couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. She turned to the director and said, "I'm aware of the situation. I will contact Director Yen to see if there are any directives." With that, Deplin Song pulled out her phone, thinking to herself, "I'll give it my all and let fate take the wheel from there." Deep down, she strongly believed that Tran Vien wouldn't care about this matter. If he truly did, he would have invested more. However, when Deep Lin Song called Tran Vien, all she heard was the message, "Sorry, the number you are calling is switched off." Deep Lin Song couldn't fathom that Tran Vien would turn off his phone at such a critical moment. Could it be he's running away, she thought, glancing at her phone with a growing sense of foreboding. Meanwhile, Tran Vien's grand plan was about to unfold. After Director Bien had taken a few days off, rumors began to swirl that the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. After all, how could he have been absent for so long? This news reached Sister Bang and soon caught the attention of the campus beauty. However, the beauty did not seem pleased at all. Once information starts to circulate, it quickly turns into a major topic of discussion. Everyone knew that Director Yen had lost his financial backing. One of her friends even contemplated selling the production building to help him. At this moment, within the Jingmao building, numerous companies were operating, including Daimao TV. Two receptionists began chatting. "Have you heard the news? It seems our company is on the verge of collapsing." "No way. Didn't our company just launch with such fanfare?" "You're not aware. There's some insider information." A girl with purple hair, having obtained the news from who knows where, started to analyze the situation in detail. "There were rumors before that our company had backing from Yen Tuok, but it's been a while since Director Yen has made an appearance. Doesn't that prove something is wrong, Asmung?" The person who played the piano that day was him, but he was wearing a Batman mask, so everyone forgot about Director Yen. "But according to some information I got from my uncle, it's possible that Director Yen has lost his financial backing." The girl's analysis seemed quite reasonable. Another colleague was immediately shocked. "Really, Director Yen is so wealthy. How could he lose his financial backing? Is your source reliable? If Director Yen is that rich, how could he be in such a situation? Just believe me, this is definitely true." At that moment outside, Tam Thui overheard their conversation. He couldn't help but feel skeptical. Among all the parties involved, only he and Tran Vien had the least contact, simply because he was the oldest. All because of a system joke that bound me. That's why Tran Vien always kept his distance from him. After receiving the news, Tam Thuy hurried to find Trio Ngoc. It can't be. I know Tran Vien's capabilities. I'm the one who's been left with a broken spine. The financial chain of Tran Vien will not break. Although she doesn't know where this rumor originated, Trio Ngoc had witnessed Tran Vien's capabilities before. She firmly believes that he will not go bankrupt. Yet outside, whispers of doubt swirl like a storm. Maybe you should call and confirm, Tam Thuy suggested, her brow slightly furrowed with concern. After all, everything doesn't arise out of thin air. Hearing this, Trio Ngoc began to ponder. In fact, Tran Vien hasn't made any public appearances in the last few days. I thought with his character, he would make a grand entrance to promote Dai Mao, since this is his legacy. But the truth is, Tran Vien hasn't made any moves at all. With this thought, Trio Ngoc felt a twinge of uncertainty. Could it be that he's really in trouble? Now she was no longer as confident as before. Anxiety crept into her heart. Within half a day, this news had spread from 10 to hundreds. Many had caught wind of it. Have you heard the news? The super-rich director Yen seems to have hit a financial wall. Really? These people didn't care about the truth. They merely relished in the gossip that quickly spread far and wide. And thus, the tale grew larger. Have you heard anything? I heard that Director Yen truly has hit a financial wall. It's hard to believe. Who said otherwise? Overexposure can lead to trouble. In reality, most were simply waiting to see Tran Vien stumble. Meanwhile, at an upscale resort, a favored retreat of the elite. As long as you have money, you can enjoy the finest services. What, I'm out of funds. Why wasn't I aware of this? So, where did you hear that from? In recent days, Tran Vien had merely been relaxing here, unaware that mere days of rest had led to rumors of his impending bankruptcy. Don't worry about where I heard it. If you really are in trouble, I wouldn't hesitate to sell my golden retriever. It'll always be by your side. At that moment, Xiaonova's tone was resolute. If Tran Vien truly faced challenges, she declared she would stand by him no matter what. Tran Vien, on the other hand, felt confused, struggling to grasp the gravity of the situation. But if it were him, there truly wouldn't be any trouble. The only trouble I have is that I have too much money, so much that I don't know how to spend it all. In fact, the more I spend, the more I acquire. To prevent Xiaonovu from droning on about Tran Vien, he candidly stated the truth. Indeed, Tran Vien's wealth seemed insatiable. It's just more money than before. At least that's how it was for Lun Tum. After that, Tran Vien hung up the phone with Xiaonovu. I've only been on vacation for a few days, and the outside world is buzzing like this. It's so bothersome, Tran Vien lamented, feeling utterly helpless. He knew that most of this was merely the fabrications of others, blindly accepted as truth. Meanwhile, at the Tio family villa, what is going on? What did he say? At this moment, Tio Mo anxiously looked at her daughter. My mother plans to sell the golden cat to help Tran Vien. Tio Ngoc Vu thought that Tran Vien, wanting to prove himself, had actually hit rock bottom. No way. Hearing her daughter say this, Tio Mao immediately erupted in anger. Do you think that the golden cat is a treasure for our family, but just a drop in the ocean for Tran Vien? If he truly lacked money, this amount would be insignificant. After hearing her mother's analysis, Tio Ngoc Vu felt that it made sense. Moreover, can you be certain that this isn't just a plan for him to feign weakness? Tio Mao, with her rich experience, approached the issue from a different angle, believing that this situation was far from simple. My dear daughter, your impulsiveness almost ruined Tran Vien's opportunity just now. Right now, Tran Vien has only one thought in mind: to take a break. Perhaps it's time for action. Even Director Yen must feel bored someday. Because someone spread rumors about his bankruptcy, all the girls have been calling to check on him. Zhao Yuying was resolute. If Tran Vien faced financial troubles, she would not hesitate to sell her grand cat to support him. Cao Huinngan was also very concerned about Tran Vien. Are you experiencing financial difficulties? Just tell me how much you need. Even the fierce Qin Bang Tuyet had a hint of reproach in her voice. If you're in trouble, why didn't you tell me? Do you think I'm someone who can only stand by and watch? At that moment, in a luxurious villa that Tran Vien had just purchased for relaxation, he found himself unable to enjoy it for long. News of his financial issues had spread like wildfire outside. Tran Vien felt disheartened. Am I not experiencing financial difficulties? I just bought a villa. I truly appreciate everyone's kindness. Initially, Tran Vien intended to savor a few more days of leisure, but now he felt like a deflated balloon. Looking at the call log on his phone, Tran Vien wondered what was going on today. One by one, people were calling to check on him. Could it be that someone is really spreading rumors about my bankruptcy? Honestly, who is saying I'm facing financial issues? Tran Vien was very curious about this. How could such a significant rumor develop in just a few days of my absence? He puzzled over it, but couldn't quite understand. This life had truly turned upside down. I used to be the one spending on women, but now these girls are doing their utmost to spend on me. Thinking of this, Tran Vien found it amusing. Yet from this, he also realized that these girls were genuinely sincere towards him. At least, those who called him were truly good. It seemed that my charm was growing stronger. It was captivating, making it hard to escape. With that thought, Tran Vien felt a bit proud as he fervently sipped his fruit juice. But at that moment, a familiar song, My Story Begins With You, started playing, causing him to spit out the juice he had just drunk. Oh my goodness, is this ever going to end? Who's bothering me this time? At this moment, Tran Vien just wanted a few peaceful days to enjoy. The phone kept ringing incessantly, making it clear that tranquility was a distant dream. Before he could utter a single word, as soon as Tran Vien answered, he was met with a furious voice on the other end. He was indeed feeling a bit irritated. Being constantly disturbed left him rather uncomfortable. The caller was Lam Chi Lak. She sounded somewhat angry as she retorted, Tran Vien, you've got some nerve to shout at me like that. All right, I won't quibble with you anymore. Just send me your current address. Why do I have to send my address? Tran Vien wondered, puzzled by what this young lady was planning. She had something big in store for him, but Lam Chi Lak didn't clarify over the phone. There was definitely a secret involved. However, from what Lam Chi Lak said, it was at least not something bad. Perhaps it was good news. So just wait patiently. After saying this, Lam Chi Lak's maniacal laughter echoed from the other end of the line. It seemed that this news brought her immense joy. After hanging up, Tran Vien didn't feel surprised. He was merely a bit taken aback, lacking any excitement. He truly didn't know what to say to these women anymore. But after a few days of relaxation, it was time to get back into action. At the very least, there was Li Tio outside, who had his sights set on him. And the other members wouldn't be idle either. Tonight, at the military estate, this was a high-end villa. A significant event was set to take place here tonight. It was imperative to host the guests with utmost care. No mistakes could be allowed. Understood. At this moment, a young man was issuing orders to the butler and a group of bodyguards to avoid any major mishaps. After all, a critical discussion was to happen tonight. The people I invited are all important figures aside from Li Tio from the Li family in Mado. There are also the big shots from Soft Gold and Red Sand Capital. It turns out that this young man is Lam Dui, the brother of Lam Chi Lak. Not only is Lam Dui pursuing Tio Nyuk Nguyen, but he also has his eyes set on Tran Vien. He and Li Jamok could be said to be on the same side.